Welcome, everyone, to our Take Charge of Your Life discussion. Our focus really is self-mastery and living an abundant life while living into our fullest potential. And I am Roberta. I'm a holistic health practitioner and a elite mentorship certified trainer. And I focus on mind, body, and soul transformation, knowing that it's entirely possible to level up in every area of life and to live that abundant and, dynamic life, living up to our potential. And here's my co-host, Tish.
My name's Tish Taylor from Growth Centric Living. I am a certified elite mentorship trainer as well as a personal transformation guide and mindset trainer. I offer neuroconditioning programs and heart-centered mentorship to help people align with their authentic self, break free from old patterns, and live a life of deep fulfillment and impact.
Beautiful. Thanks, Tish. So I'm just going to introduce Peter Sage, who is our mentor and, the author of the Elite Mentorship Forum, like we talked about. And he is the one who will be sharing his topic today. But he's a globally recognized human behavior expert and motivational speaker. He's renowned for his deep understanding of human behavior and self-mastery. I think he's the only person who's had a 6-time TED Talk presentation. He's a best-selling author with 150,000 copies in multiple languages. And his contribution to the personal growth industry is considered the gold standard in personal transformation because it's not just intellectual, but it's embodiment. He has over 4,200 Trustpilot reviews rated at 4.9 stars out of 5. So he's got an incredible integrity and foundation, and he's just trustworthy in the industry. So it's been a blessing in our lives to really transform and level us up in so many ways. His mission is to provide us with mindset and tools necessary for personal growth and success, empowering us to achieve our highest potential. So that's really his focus, and where he pours his life into is helping people raise their consciousness and become the best version of themselves. So the structure of our call is to provide a framework for mind, body, and soul transformation. The mind one is called Live Empowered, and we'll share concepts around that. For the body, it's living healthy. And for the soul, it's living free. So we're going to, take this topic and frame it up in those 3 categories. And Tish will introduce us to our topic.
Yep. So as an introduction to our topic and to introduce you to our mentor, Mr. Peter Sage, we're going to show you a little clip of his and then break it down into those segments like Roberta has suggested. So this video, just as a introduction, we're talking about goal setting. We're actually pulling an excerpt and some of the lesson from our main program, Elite Mentorship Forum, and this is from Module 8 about goals. So this video here is a powerful way to think about goal setting and what stays with us after we have accomplished those goals. So let me just share my screen here.
You may have heard the phrase that if you don't write down your goals, you'll probably end up working for somebody who has. But the challenge is most people write the wrong goals. They're focusing on goals to try to get something of significance so they can validate or prove themselves to the world. But what if I was to tell you that in my experience in 30 years in this industry, the real reason that you should be setting goals is not to try to achieve the goal. It's to see who do you need to become in order to achieve the goal. You see, goals come and go, but who we are remains. And who we rise up to is way more important than the kind of things that we collect or tick off our bucket list because we think it's going to give us some sort of long-term happiness. No. Who we become is the ultimate end game in this incredible movie called life. But if you're setting goals that you know how to achieve because that's what you think the outcome is, you're going to cheat yourself out of your own destiny and potential. So remember, don't set goals you know how to achieve. It's who you need to become.
That's an awesome and inspiring message, I guess, for myself today. As I think about it, that goal setting used to just terrify me because I just didn't have confidence to think that I could achieve any goals that were worthy of anything. The basic things I could do, like take care of my kids and be a good parent, right? Protect them and do all that and get them where they needed to be. I felt confident in that realm, but in the realm of my potential, of my gifts or what else I could offer to the world, I just didn't have any confidence. And so being able to shift our focus from what do I need to do to who must I become, rather than trying to be performing and have a certain outcome that I'm being measured by or critiqued by, And that if I don't achieve that outcome, then, you know, then I messed up or I failed, and now I got to live with that failure. So having a reframe for goals has helped me tremendously, and thinking about who I need to become, because, you know, when I leave this earth and what I leave behind, my kids aren't going to remember the stuff, but they're going to remember the moments, the memories, how I responded in life, how I loved, how I showed up, whether or not if I'm a reactor and they're tense around me and they're like, oh, mom was always so stressed out, or mom was always angry. I don't want to leave that legacy. I want to leave a legacy of kindness and compassion and unconditional love. And so all of those things help me embody who I am. And from that come my gifts and abilities. And if I can focus more on who I need to become, then those other goals that I'm looking towards achieving just become, something I want to do, something I get to do, but they're not something that I have to do. And it can be a joyful journey rather than a pressured, stressed out journey that really ends up burning me out. I've burnt out a few times in my life, like really bad, mentally, physically, spiritually, where I had some major crashes, including a nervous breakdown. So I know that setting goals out of force and fear just are, that's a losing game, really.
This mindset shift helps us in a couple of different ways as well. Like, we are always changing what our physical goals might be. And, maybe you had a goal to get a Lamborghini or get something, but then you're always wanting something after that. So there's that kind of emptiness that comes after achieving that physical thing if you didn't change sort of as a person. It also allows us, especially for me, sometimes some of my goals have been really big, and if I concentrate on who I became during trying to achieve those goals, then sometimes even not achieving that physical goal still left me with a permanent change. It still helped me be better at something or create better habits in my identity, even though, I didn't accomplish whatever that physical thing is. So there's a reward in concentrating on who you're becoming during your goals versus just the physical outcome of achieving them.
Yeah, I think of, as an identity gap is a space between where we are and where we're called to be. Like if we limit ourselves just to physical goals in the physical world, like practical things too, that's a very limiting way to live. And I think there's a part of me anyway that's never quite fulfilled, because I know I was created for more, but it comes from an internal place. Like I shared, I want to live at a higher level, be a better version of myself. And along with that comes responsibility to help others on their journey, right? So I do want to become skilled as a practitioner, and all the things I've done in the outer world. I go to school, do the training, commit, keep on leveling up in that to become the skilled person that I am in that realm today. So, but when I can do it from a place of authenticity, of, oh, this is what I love to do, this is actually who I am, it just becomes, then goals become, like I said, a privilege, not a dread, like I used to dread them. So it's really exciting to live from a different place. And it's amazing what we accomplish in the flow, in the joy, in the kind of playing the game, rather than making it such a big, long list of burnout things to do that is never never enough. So
the book I'm currently reading talks about how we're hardwired to always want more. So another big reason why people, when they achieve those physical things and you get the goal, and then you're happy for a second and then you want something else. That's part of who we are. So when Peter says, let's rise to who we can become, that really spoke to me in this lecture, and just embodying that identity piece.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that we want more, because we're creators, and that's how technology and all the amazing things that happen in our universe come, because we were designed to keep creating and wanting more and expanding. So that's awesome. If we do it in the right energy, with the right intentions and the right heart, that's when we can really shine and do more abundantly than we could ever imagine. We're not limited. So and the tip I have for this is to choose like one limiting identity or belief. Like for me, it was, I don't deserve success, or whatever that goal was. Like somehow I was just disqualified from accomplishment or getting compensated for that financially. So it was, and then to take that limiting belief that's really been deeply programmed in me, and I'm aware of it now because I've asked the question, what's stopping me? Why am I resisting this? Being able to identify a limiting area of your life and then flipping it into a positive affirmation by saying, I am worthy of, abundance, or I'm worthy of financial success, something to that nature, to really turn the program around and just, look in the mirror and say it. I put it on my phone sometimes, or I can put it to music, different things that I say, and I just keep gently and consistently applying it to my mindset so that those old voices get, they die off, and I create new ones and new beliefs.
Excellent. That's a great tip, because oftentimes those are the things that hold us back, right? Our current identity that doesn't end up changing based on those goals sometimes just leave you feeling empty instead of reprogramming that. Okay. That leads us then into our live healthy, our body portion. And I think here in the physical realm, this is where this concept, I think, becomes very obvious. A lot of the times in the physical realm, when we talk about physical goals, like I want to lose weight, or I want to, run this marathon, etc. Those are easy to see. And then once we complete them, then what? Right? You have to want more, because otherwise, like, your life would just stop. Right? If you didn't set a new goal and you end up in this cycle. It's also easy to see that if I didn't become something different in trying to achieve that goal, if I didn't create healthier habits for myself in trying to lose the weight or accomplish, run that marathon, etc., then what happens oftentimes is then you revert backwards. You go back to your old programming, you achieve that goal, and then you gain the weight back. Or, you were so active and then you stop, etc. So what stays with you is those habits that you create, that new identity that was developed by pursuing those health goals. So we need that mindset shift that we just talked about in Live Healthy. And then physically we can embody those things. Like, so for me, in, losing weight and throughout my health journey, doing some of those physical challenges that I've talked about, signing up for Tough Mudders and etc. What I've actually accomplished and how my identity has changed, how I've embodied these goals, is I've become a person who carries around water. I drink more water now regularly because of these goals that I have set for myself. In fact, actually, I won't share my water with my children because I'm constantly measuring. And this has become a very fundamental part of how I am blessing my body and nourishing my body properly by providing it with, water and things that it needs. Another example is I'm a person who orders salads at restaurants. And my 19-year-old self would roll over. She would be like, what? She only ate French fries when she went to restaurants. She didn't like anything else. She ate French fries only. And now I look at the salad menu. Every time I'm looking at a menu, I at least look at that section. That's become a habit that is part of me. Do I always choose the salad? No, sometimes I still like the French fries and remind myself what they taste like, if I'm being honest. But more often than not, I will order the salad, and I'm at very least looking at it. So these are some ways that I have, changed as a person due to my health goals.
Yeah, I think it's truly, when setting the the intention for health in the physical realm, it's over and over. I see people's mindset. Do they really believe they deserve to be healthy? I mean, we've been programmed to believe that sickness and disease is normal and it's inevitable. So people just surrender to imbalanced lifestyles and eating. And it's fascinating to watch. It's also very sad to see that people think that, well, this is just my life, so why bother? But I think if we want to heal ourselves out of love, rather than I have to do this, or I have to, change my diet, nobody can do that very long. Motivation doesn't last very long, or willpower. But if we're inspired, and what's our why? For me, my why was, I don't want to stay depressed and anxious and in bed most of the time. That's not the legacy I want to leave for my kids. And I just knew that there was a solution to every problem. I know that. I believe that truly. And there is in the universe. There's been a solution provided for everything. So my job was just to keep seeking it, asking the universe to help me to find it. And of course, that has happened in every area of my life over the last, over a decade. But certainly we don't need to just, deny ourselves such I don't even know how to describe it, but physical health is life. If we don't have physical health, we're just we are definitely on the back foot. We're struggling. We're constantly trying to compensate. We're missing out on things. And we're leaving our kids with more, maybe sometimes a tragedy rather than a beautiful life ending that was natural. That we would die of natural causes would be ideal, right? Rather than some kind of internal disease. So yeah, I just think really loving ourselves and deciding that we want to be well is what's going to help us make those shifts. And yeah, once you start doing it, like Tish said, it just becomes a habit. And then you can't imagine how we used to treat ourselves. I never used to treat myself very good health wise either. I just didn't know how to play that game very well. We certainly don't have a lot of good role modeling in the culture. So choosing to say, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to keep leveling up and make those changes. I mean, it's so worth it because yeah, I had seen a quote recently that said, we used to think so many things are important in life, but now we realize only one thing was important, and that was our health, because without it, we don't have really anything else. So.
So true. I think that's one of the big lessons that I've tried to instill into my children too, in that, go enjoy, what you think you're supposed to enjoy, especially as you enter those college years, etc. And they have their own money, so they're eating out and, craft dinner tastes good because mom never had it at home, those kinds of things. But it's built into the core of who they are that when you start to feel like crap, I know that this is connected to my physical health. And now I know what to do to kind of revert back to that in order to feel better, to start embodying those healthier choices on a regular basis, because they're habits that have been built up over time. And that sort of reprogramming that we talk a lot about happens by small habits, which is, how our identity changes over time. So we're setting goals and we're talking about goals here, but we're really talking about shifting our identity. And we had another talk about that one day where, knowing is one thing, but that doesn't necessarily shift. And some of us have, emotional cues sometimes that, motivate us for a short period of time, as Roberta was talking about, but that fades. It's in the embodying and becoming this new identity of, again, for me, a person that thinks about exercising more regularly, a person who moves her body and makes healthier choices more often than not, because I know how it feels now, because it's been part of, who I am. Am I perfect at it? No, but that's why I keep setting goals and keep trying to, be better and keep improving so that I can embody a more healthier lifestyle. And so our tip for this piece is to start small. Pick a goal that will create healthier habits that you can take with you throughout your life. So whether that is, drink more water and you're measuring a little bit every day, I'm going to drink this cup, whatever that looks like for you based on where you're at right now. I'm going to move my body for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. I'm going to eat at least one healthy meal, or, pick one more healthier meal this week. I'm going to find new recipes, whatever that is. Pick a habit for yourself that you can commit to doing every day. Start with a goal of doing this 30 days in a row, and you might be surprised at who you become and the habits that you embody at the end of that goal.
Awesome. Thank you. So we are moving into our Live Free Soul realm here to talk about goals, and surrendering. Soul level really is to surrender the need to prove, like we mentioned earlier, just getting, I guess, to me, it's like getting connected to my true self, getting familiar again. If I've detached and lived in, on the outside and run around and trying to please everyone else, how do I get connected to me? Like what matters to me in this movie, like being a codependent person for so long and people pleasing, and then raising kids, that kind of plays out in that too. You're always trying to make sure they have everything, that everything's covered. You spend money on them first, put your time, effort, and energy into them. And then to stop at some point. And stopping is challenging. Most people don't want to stop and sit in silence and listen. But if we don't, we never will find really our true path. And so really listening in and saying, what is, what's important to me? What do I love? It was so funny because I love leaves as a decor. So anything with leaves on it, anything from earrings to, flower pots, you name it, anything with leaves on, I'm just automatically drawn to. But I didn't realize that till I was probably 50 years old. When I moved out of my house into my condo, it was like, And I realized that everything in my house had a leaf on it, like a picture frame or a photo or a picture or something. It was just crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never noticed that in my whole life, that I love leaves. Talk about distractions and being busy with other things and focusing on other people's lives. So it was just I just chuckle when I think about that. So what I realized with the soul is that I, needed to feed my soul, be kind and gentle, and let myself, because I grew up in a home where my dad wanted us all to be like him. He was a very driven workaholic, and we lived on a farm, so he had to work all the time. But he had a different processing system than I do in my body. Had unlimited energy. He could handle tough stuff. He wasn't about feelings. Let's just get it done. And I'm more quiet, sit back, reflect, listen, read books, and live out things that matter to my heart and soul. He was more external world. And so I just always felt like I had to be like him, work hard, get it done, suck it up, quit being a baby, just, move on with life, get over it. Just really pushed myself so hard, and my nervous system just couldn't handle that kind of programming and conditioning and acting out like that. I had to stop and take care of myself and find out what really mattered to me. And I think, right, that's everybody's soul path, is to find out our true purpose and then live it, because isn't that why we're here? If I don't live out what I was designed for, then it just feels like then I missed the whole point of my life journey here. So that's kind of how I frame it up these days. I'm just grateful that something slowed me down enough to stop and get in touch with who I really am.
That was beautiful and heartfelt. Thank you for sharing that. I think that as you were talking, I was thinking about one of my larger goals is really to become, who I feel like my soul is meant to be, to figure out my purpose. And, it really is all about becoming that identity, to living into our higher self, and our power is essentially my ultimate goal. It's the big goal that encompasses all the little goals that I have been setting along the way.
Yeah. I think of acting from love instead of fear, because when I lived out somebody else's agenda for me, it was always fear-based. Like I was trying to perform, get it done, do it right. Hopefully they wouldn't be disappointed. So I was always living on the outside and chasing something and trying to prove something, just out of fear. And I remember as I walked through this journey of transformation, and my motivations are shifted. I don't do things from fear anymore. It's more from alignment and what really is true for me. And I realized that without fear motivating me, I had to find other motivators in my life to stay, to keep moving on this path, because it was so natural for me to be driven by fear my whole life. That when that fear went away, it was like, I could just sit around all day and kind of read books or whatever. I just felt it was good to be in that space for a time, but it's like I still got to live life and keep moving. So I had to find that inspiration led me rather than fear on that drivenness. And so I think of living out of love for myself, being kind and gentle to myself and other people. That is my soul path. So, and the tip we have for that is that to start maybe just even one time, if we can get quiet, sit down and journal something that feels aligned that you maybe haven't done in a lifetime. I realized recently in the last months, I don't know, I'm quite obsessed with animals. I just have so much compassion. So if I could, I'd save them all, but I didn't realize that about myself, because I didn't give myself that luxury to, play with animals and take up so much time focusing on them. And, but man, I just absolutely, if I sit down and get honest, I love little children. I love animals. I just love working with things like that. And that's like, I don't know, it's just been fascinating to me to see that. So if I just get quiet and listen, finding something that really matters to me that I never ever gave myself the luxury to really focus on or put my time into or think about giving myself permission to do. I guess that would be my challenge for each of you, to just stop and think and listen into your soul, what it's telling you that is something that you would love.
That's really important, I think, and something that we miss. I definitely had a shift in my life where I realized one day that I'd been working towards other people's goals instead of, really knowing, like you, what I wanted. And as we both discussed with being parents, that's one of the things that's really important to me. And, not providing expectations to my children, but instead allowing them some space to discover what they love and what they would like to do. So they don't have to reprogram as much as I did halfway through my life, etc. So to summarize our talk today, in the mindset, living empowered, we talked about who you must become versus what you need to do. Start by rewriting those limiting beliefs into empowering statements of the new identity that you're trying to embrace. Under live healthy, we talked about after your goals are accomplished, it's the habits that we embodied that actually remain. So in thinking of your health goals, think of the small habit changes that you need to incorporate or that you want to incorporate, I should say, to not only achieve your goals, but that will serve you and your future health as well. And then lastly, under live free, the soul realm, set goals that not just validate your worth, but help you activate your potential, help you move closer to that powerful, wonderful being that your soul longs for you to become.
Beautiful. Yeah, and so that wraps up our connection today. We just wanted to as always, invite you that if you feel like there's something more inside of you that you're meant to become, not by doing more, but being more. We would love to have you join us with the Elite Mentorship Forum and it's our 6-month gold standard program that really helps people transform and embody it. It's not an intellectual exercise or effort or just a bunch of knowledge that comes across, but it's empowerment and living into that and becoming a different version of yourself to break those old patterns, aligning with our truth, and then really living into why we're here. Because yeah, that's a huge priority for each of us to really leave that legacy behind, that our people can see us for who we truly are. I think that's important to me, that I don't want to live a fake life or a false life. It just seems kind of kind of unnecessary in that realm. So yeah, we'd love to have you.
It has been fundamental in becoming the person, that I am, and for really that mindset shift of deciding who I want to be and how to achieve that. So we have a new cohort that will be starting shortly, and we definitely would love to see you there if you are curious and ready to become your wonderful, amazing self.
Yeah, you can schedule with us on our links below the video. And thank you for your time and sharing this with us today. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
And to end then, our quote is by Mr. Zig Ziglar. He says, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as who you become by achieving those goals.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thanks.